Well, this is it, the last video, the last learning opportunity of your high school career. In the section 3, we learned about investing in the stock market. And stock market is a great investment option for long-term savings. And the longest term savings that you're ever going to be involved with is to be saving for your retirement. And I know what you're thinking, Mr. Ward, I'm 18 years old. I don't even have a job to retire from. That's for old people. Why should I start thinking about retirement now? Well, because if you start thinking about retirement now and start funding that retirement, you'll end up with a lot of money and an opportunity to retire earlier than normal. And what is retirement? Retirement means that you stop working. For someone like me, I've got a few more years until I stop teaching, and then I'll be retired. And what is retirement? You're done working. But for you, a very good analogy would be summer vacation. How many of you like summer vacation? Of course you do. We all like summer vacation because you get to do what you want when you want. And that's what retirement is. You get to do what you want when you want. But just like summer vacation is more fun if you have money, so is retirement. If you have more money in retirement, you can do more things. You can travel, you can spoil the grandkids, you can take up hobbies, you can drive a nice car, you can do a lot of those things that you didn't have the time or maybe even the money to do while you were working. Okay? And retirement is a goal for all of us. Okay? And how are we going to reach those retirement goals? Well, it's not like you get to retirement age and snap your fingers and all of a sudden you have enough money to retire. You have to have money when you retire because you're no longer working. When you stop working, you stop getting money coming in from your job, but you don't stop living. You still need money to pay for your housing costs and your vacations and your utilities and your hobbies and your food and your car insurance and your car and gas. You still need money. Where's that money going to come from? Well, in the past, we used to talk about the three-legged stool of retirement, that you would get money from three sources. One of those sources being the government through Social Security. And a lot of people rely on Social Security for a bulk of their retirement income. But is Social Security enough money? Well, for this year, the maximum Social Security check you can get is about $3,000 a month, just slightly over $3,000 a month. And that might sound like a lot of money, but that really is only $36,000 a year. Is that going to be able to pay for your rent or your home cost, your food and car insurance and your cell phone and your internet and your television and your food? It's not $3,000 a month, and that's the maximum check. The average Social Security check is about half of that, about $1,500 a month. That's nowhere near enough money for you to enjoy retirement with. Okay? But it was never meant to be the only source of income. So you would get money from your Social Security from the government. You would also get money from your job in the form of a pension. Okay? I mentioned that I'm going to get a pension, the State Teachers Retirement System pension. Okay? But very few jobs anymore offer pensions. If you work in the public sector as a police officer, a fireman, or a public school teacher, or a postal worker, yes, you're going to get a pension. Okay? But is that going to be enough money? Because oftentimes if you're getting a pension from the government, you're not paying into Social Security. So now you're either getting Social Security or you're getting a pension. You're not getting both. Okay? And the pensions are much better than Social Security. They do provide a lot more income. But will it be enough? Well, in theory, the third leg of the stool was that you were supposed to be saving money on your own. So the government was saving through Social Security. Your job was saving through your pension, and you were saving. Okay? Well, very few people are saving enough today. Okay? If we had more time, we'd go into the statistics, but believe me when I say very few Americans are saving enough to adequately fund their retirement. Okay? Well, that's what I'm here to help you with. I don't want you to be one of those statistics where you don't have enough money in retirement. So how do you save money for your retirement? There are lots of different retirement savings accounts. We're going to talk about three. the traditional IRA, the Roth IRA, and also on the back, the 401k plan. Okay? With these retirement plans, what you are doing is you're saving money for your retirement. And again, I know what you're saying, Mr. Ward, that's a long way away. Why should I bother to worry about it now? I'll worry about it later. Well, I'm going to put up some numbers here in a few minutes, and you're going to see why it's so important to start thinking about your retirement. Okay? So how can you save for your retirement? Well, in the 1980s, they invented this thing called the Individual Retirement Account, or IRA, Individual Retirement Account. And there are a couple of different types. Okay, we're going to talk about traditional and Roth. There's also what they call a SEP IRA, Self-Employed Person's IRA. But these are the most common types. The traditional IRA was established in the 1980s as a way for people to save for their retirement. The government began to realize that companies were not saving adequately through pensions for their employees. Plus, a lot of people began to change jobs. In the old days, your pension was good because you stayed at the same job for many, many years, like I do as a public school teacher, as a police officer, as a fireman. But now more and more Americans are changing jobs. So you needed a retirement account that was yours alone, that was independent of where you worked, so that you could save on your own no matter what job you had and where you worked. And so they invented this thing called the Individual Retirement Account. It is set up and funded entirely by the individual. That is, you're going to put all the money into it. As we're going to learn with the 401k, your company might help. But right now, with an IRA, if you set up an IRA account, you're going to put all the money into it. What are you going to invest it in? It's a long-term retirement account. So you're going to be saving money for 30, 40, 50 years potentially in your retirement account. What's the best place for your retirement account money? The stock market. And the best way for individuals like you and me to invest in the stock market is to invest using mutual funds, because we get that diversification. So most people that invest their money for retirement in a traditional IRA are going to be using stock market mutual funds. Now you can invest in other things, but that's far and away the most common investment option. The government will allow you to invest a maximum of $6,000 a year. You can contribute up to $6,000 a year maximum in your traditional IRA. Now that number changes every so often. It started out, it was only $2,000, but that was in the 1980s, and now it's up to $6,000. Okay. Next year they might make it $6,500. They usually do it in $500 increments every couple of years. You can contribute less. You don't have to max out your IRA contribution, but the maximum the government will allow you to put into your traditional IRA is $6,000 a year. And here's the advantage to putting your money into that IRA. The government is going to try to encourage you to put money into an IRA by telling you that whatever you contribute is tax deferred, meaning you don't have to pay tax on that money this year. What does that mean for you if you put that money in? That's basically taking $6,000 off of your income so you don't have to pay tax on it. For someone like me who's in the combined approximately 30% tax bracket, that saves me $1,800 a year in taxes. So I get an extra $1,800 back on my state and federal taxes because I don't have to pay tax on that money right now. Whatever I contribute, again, it doesn't have to be $6,000, but whatever you contribute is going to be tax deferred. Deferred means to be put off into the future. So that's a great current tax savings. Okay? So when do you pay the taxes? Because it doesn't say tax-free, it says tax deferred, meaning you don't have to pay taxes now. Well, whenever you start taking the money out of your account, that's when you start paying the taxes. Okay? So 30, 40, 50 years later when you start taking it out, that's when you'll start paying the taxes. And when can you start taking the money out of your account? Well, the government says it's a retirement account, individual retirement account. They don't want you to take it out until you retire. They don't want you to say, oh, I want to go on a cruise, let's just take the money out of our IRA. So you're not allowed to take it out of your retirement accounts, all retirement accounts, until you turn 59 and a half years old. And I'm not sure why the government did it half a year, but 59 and a half years old, you're not allowed to take the money out. If you do take it out, and you could technically take it out before then, you're going to get hit with a 10% penalty on whatever you take out. So the government says, don't do it, or you're going to pay a penalty on whatever you take out if you take it out before 59 and a half. Okay? So when you start taking it out, you're going to have to start paying taxes on it. The government says, well, if you never take it out, then we're never going to get our taxes. So they require that the year you turn 72, you have to start taking money out of the account. That's what RMD stands for, Required Minimum Distribution. The year in which you turn 72, you have to start taking money out of your retirement account. Now, you don't have to take it all out. You have to take out a certain minimum. And the first year, that minimum is about 3.5% of whatever you have in there. Okay? Well, what does this mean? How much money could you invest and have it grow to? Well, if you invested $500 a month, and again, I know that's the maximum, $6,000 a year would be $500 a month, and you earned 8% per year. Now, I've told you that the stock market has averaged 10%. Let's be a little more conservative, okay? Let's say that you're going to earn 8%, and that's a good, safe choice, conservative estimate. So if you invest $500 a month at 8% a year for 40 years, okay? So let's say you get out of college at age 23 and you start investing $500 a month for the next 40 years. And that's a lot right now, but again, because of inflation and because of pay raises, 10 years from now, $500 is going to be a little bit easier. 15 years, 20 years, it's going to get a little bit easier. Okay? Well, that $500 a month invested for 40 years at 8% will grow to $1,745,504. That's a lot of money, $1.7 million. $1.75 million. Okay? Now, that money is supposed to last for the rest of your life, so you're not going to take it out every year, or not take it all out in 1 year. You're going to take out whatever you need to live on. Okay? Experts recommend that you take out no more than 4% a year. Okay? Well, let's say you took out 5%. 5% of that, well, 10% would be $175,000. So 5% would be about $85,000 a year. I don't know about you, but I would think that $85,000 a year would help you pretty much enjoy your retirement. Okay? And so that's a lot of money. And of course, you could make it even more money if you contribute more money every month going, as they raise the amount. If you invested for more than 40 years, it will grow even more. Okay? And so you want to invest in your retirement using some form of retirement account. And this traditional IRA was established as a way to encourage people to save for their retirement. Okay? About 12 or 15 years ago, they invented something called the Roth IRA, named after Senator Roth. I think he was from Delaware. But it too is an individual retirement account. The individual retirement account means what? Well, it means that you're going to put all the money into it. That's what this arrow means. All of it is going to be put in by you. Usually you're going to invest in stock mutual funds, and you can invest a maximum of $6,000 a year. Okay. The difference between the Roth IRA and the traditional IRA is whatever you contribute, your contributions are fully taxable. So you get no tax break this year on the money that you put in. It's just as if you earned that money and spent it on a vacation. You get no special tax break on the way in. When you get the tax break is when you take the money out. Okay? Whatever you withdraw that year or whenever you withdraw it is entirely tax-free. That's a huge advantage because none of us knows what their tax rates are going to be like when we retire. And so the fact that you could get that money out tax-free is really a huge advantage to the Roth IRA. This is a good retirement account, but this one is better, especially for someone like you who's already in a low tax bracket. This tax deferral is most beneficial to people that are in higher tax brackets. But right now, you're in a low tax bracket. So you really don't care if you're paying tax on those contributions because when the money comes out, it's going to be entirely tax-free. So if you're asking me which is the better IRA, this one is clearly the better IRA because you're going to be able to get your money out tax-free. Now, not everybody can contribute to it. If you make a lot of money, you're not allowed to use the Roth IRA. You have to use the traditional IRA, okay? But it is definitely a very good retirement account. Okay? When can you start taking the money out? 59 and a half. If you take it out beforehand, you're going to get hit with that 10% penalty. In all of the retirement accounts, you're not allowed to take the money out until you're 59 and a half. Okay? But another advantage to the Roth IRA is it has no required minimum distributions. Okay? What that means is you don't have to take the money out when you get to age 72. Because you're not going to pay tax on that money anyways, that's another big advantage. Because you can allow that money to just keep growing and growing and growing and growing. Because the longer you leave it in there, the more that money is going to grow. So this is a huge advantage. If you have a good pension like I do as a teacher, I don't have to take any money out of my Roth IRA. And I could leave that money growing and growing and growing for my children when I die. Or if I decide I want to take it out and throw a big party, I could take it out and throw a big party, and I would pay no taxes. Okay? All right, so traditional IRAs and Roth IRAs are both individual retirement accounts. If you change jobs or you move from one job to another, you change occupations, whatever it might be, you are in control of your IRAs. Okay? And you don't have to contribute the maximum. You don't even have to contribute every single year. Maybe this year, because of the pandemic, you can't contribute. Okay, no harm, no foul. It's your money. You can contribute as much to the maximum or as little as you would like. Okay? So these are great retirement accounts. Okay? This one's good, but this one's better because of the tax-free and the no required minimum distributions. But the best retirement plan is the 401k plan. You might have heard of that before. A 401k is a retirement plan that is offered through your job. Okay? That's why it says here that it's a joint, it should say account. It's a joint account, retirement account. Okay? It's all your money at the end, but it's a joint account because both you, the employee, and your employer are going to contribute money to the 401k. Okay? So many companies have done away with pensions and they've gone to 401ks. And what that means is they're going to help you save for your retirement. Okay? So both you and your employer are going to be putting money into this account. So let's say you want to contribute to your 401k. So you have a job at Verizon or McDonald's and they have a 401k plan. Okay? And not all businesses have them. Usually bigger companies have 401ks. But you can contribute this year a maximum of $19,500. That's a lot more than an IRA. But you can contribute, you, the employee, can contribute $19,500. Whatever you contribute is tax deferred, meaning you don't have to pay taxes on that money this year. Okay? Again, for someone like me, that's a savings of about $6,000. I would get an extra $6,000 back on my taxes if I was able to defer all of my contributions. Mm-hmm. So again, a big incentive to you as an employee to put money in there because you're not going to pay tax on that money. When do you pay the taxes? When you take it out. Okay? When can you start taking it out? The year you turn 59 and a half. If you take it out early, 10% penalty. Okay? One of my sons had money in a 401k account at his job, and he got laid off, not in this recession, but in another recession. He got laid off, and he took the money out without asking me, what should I do? And because of that, he had to pay that 10% penalty. Now, it wasn't a lot of money, but he did pay a penalty. When do you have to start taking it out? Again, the year you turn 72, you have a required minimum distribution. Every year, the government is going to make you take out some of it because they want to get their tax dollars. Okay? Now, what makes the 401k the absolute best retirement plan is because your company is going to provide matching funds. Okay? I like to call this free money, because whatever you put in, your employer is going to match it. Sometimes they provide a 50% match. Sometimes they provide a 100% match. A 100% match means they'll give you 100% of whatever you put in. So if you put in $1, they put in $1. You put in $100, they put in $100. You put in $1,000 a month, they put in $1,000 a month. Other times they'll put in a 50% match. If you put in $100, they put in $50. You put in $1,000, they put in $500. Okay? But they're providing some form of matching money to whatever you contribute. Okay? If you contribute, they will match it and you get free money. Okay? Here's a sad statistic. 25% of the American people that have a 401k at their job do not contribute. So what they're saying is, no thank you, I don't want free money. I don't want to save for my own retirement. I don't want that free money. Well, that's just stupid. Okay? So think about you contributing money. Okay? So let's say that you have $500 that you could put aside a month, just like your traditional. So you're putting in $500, and your company is matching it with another $500 a month. Boy, that's a lot. That means you put in $500, which is the IRA limit this year, and they put in $500. That means $1,000 a month is going in. Well, $1,000 a month would be exactly twice that, so it would be about $3.5 million when you retire. That's crazy. You're going to be able to get whatever you want, be able to do whatever you want in retirement. Okay? But the key is you have to save. Because if you don't put any money in, then your employer's not going to put any money in, and you're not going to have any money in retirement. Okay? It's very important that you start saving for your retirement as soon as you can. Okay? The single biggest factor in determining how much money you're going to have, whether you're going to have $1.74 million or $3.5 million, the single biggest factor is time. And again, if we had a little bit more time, we'd be spending a little bit more time in class talking about this. But 40 years at $500 a month was $1,745,504. What if you're listening to everything I'm saying and say, wow, Mr. Ward, I really want to start saving for my retirement, but you know, I'm going to college, and then when you get out of college, you start thinking, well, I finally got a job, I want to get a new car, I want to do this, I want to do that. And instead of saving for 40 years, you save for 35. That's a long time. I'm not going to deny that. But if you said, instead of starting, say, when you're 23, you started when you're 28. You think, well, what's the big deal? What's 5 years? Okay? Well, 5 years is $1,146,941. Again, that's a lot of money, but how much difference is it? It's almost $600,000 difference. The single biggest factor is time. If you get started on your retirement savings as soon as you can, and again, maybe you don't have as much money now, but the sooner you can start investing, the more money you're going to have when you retire. Okay? So I don't know anyone who's gotten to retirement age and said, gee, I wish I had less money, but I know there's a lot of people that are forced to work. And maybe you've seen them. How many of you have seen one of those elder workers at McDonald's or at Walmart or Sam's Club? Maybe they're working because they want to, but maybe they're working because they have to, because they didn't save for their retirement. Okay? I don't want you to be in that boat. I don't want you to become one of those elder people that has to keep working, who has to keep earning money because they didn't save enough for retirement. Believe me, this is incredibly valuable advice. The earlier you start saving for your retirement, the more money you're going to have, and the earlier you're going to be able to retire. Mrs. Ward and I started saving fairly early, not as early as I probably should have, but we started saving, and it's going to allow me to retire at age 58. Okay? Most people can't retire at that age. Okay? But because I've been able to save, I'll have enough money to be able to afford a very comfortable retirement. Okay? So, some of these questions are on the quiz. Okay? Notice that the 401k and the traditional IRA are basically the same in terms of when you pay the tax. You don't pay it on the way in, you pay it on the way out, when you can take it out, and when you have to start taking it out. The Roth IRA is a little bit different. Use those retirement account notes that you were included in this week's email to help you do the quiz. The answers are right there on the paper. Okay? This is the last time we're probably going to see each other until after you graduate. And I hope that we will see each other again after you graduate. But good luck. If you ever need anything from me, of course you know where to find me. Please start saving for your retirement. Please put together a budget that allows you to save money every month. I promise you, you will not be disappointed.